I think it was in the late '70s. I got a call to work with David, and I was he wanted to use again, the new technology came around at the time. We didn't have any. We were just beginning to have remote cameras and remote cranes. There was a crane that came out of Europe, Paris, and it was a remote crane called the Luma crane. Um, and so when I got the call to do to work with David, we he wanted to, to do this show in the Great Wall. He didn't know how. I mean, this is a huge place. This is a huge wall. How do you capture this event? This thing that he wants to do. So we went and we did a test with this Luma crane and stuff. And the challenge is to do many challenges to do a magic show, because magic, they don't, they call it the magic shows. They don't call it tricks. They call it illusions. He always corrected us. We always say, oh, what's the trick? It's not a trick. It's an illusion. Yes, sir. Okay. So he was every time, and never failed. But because it is an illusion, you're not tricking you. They're making you see things that not there, or they're not letting you see things that are there. So how do you do this on television? Especially since he was so. He knew that people wanted to know how. Everybody does, right? I mean, you watch an illusion, a magic trick. How did you do that? That's the whole. And of course, his thing is, no, I'm not going to tell you. You know that he never told us. I did 14 years, 14 shows with him, and he never told us how to do anything. He never revealed anything. He showed me how. Out of 14 years, he showed me how to do one little trick. That's because I said, Dave, Dave, come on. You got to show me something. Everybody knows I work with you. They think I know how to do this magic and stuff. So I finally showed one little trick, and that's it in 14 years. And he never really told us. We kind of figured it out because we had to, but he never really tells you anything. But it was very, very challenging for everybody. It was probably, technically, that's probably one of the most challenging things that we've done, because it is very difficult for lighting, for cameras, for everybody, to capture. Yeah, we sworn to secrecy to never talk, never. David is a great guy. He's a quirky guy, in his own, he's a great guy, but he's very particular. He's very, very careful, and he's very. He wants to make sure that what he does is represented in the best possible way. He's a perfectionist. He's a perfectionist himself at what he does, and that's why he's the best. He works 24/7. He's a workaholic, and so he expects the same thing from everybody. So when I first met with him and I first tried out, again, you always kind of try out these things, and so I went to the tryout for the China show, and he liked me, and we got along and everything. He liked what I did, so we hooked up, and I worked with him for the next 14 years, and he trusts you. Once he knows that what you do, and he knows that you know what you're doing, then he's got total trust in you. And so now the challenge is to give him and to make what he does look great on TV. And the challenges are many, not just for me on camera, for lighting, for everybody, for the magic people, for his group. We call them Magi, and they have their own challenges because of what they do. One thing is to do it on a stage, and the other thing is to do it for cameras, because the cameras see everything. You see, So the challenges were great, and so, but he gave us, the thing about David was that he gave you the opportunity to do your best work. And I think, I can't remember how many Emmys we got for these shows, but there were many. But there were great shows. And again, we were putting in 17, 18 hours a day, on these shows, and maybe, 12, 14 days to shoot, which is unheard of on television. I mean, that's you don't do that. You do that in film, you do that in the movies, but not in television. But he wanted to do it just right, and he didn't care how long it took or what it took to get it right. So that was great. It was a great challenge, but a great rewards with that show. Well, what he did, what the process was kind of, the process that we did was, he would bring us in, he would sit us down like we were an audience. He would do the illusion in front of us, and we would watch it, and we were always amazed because we never knew how he did this. In the process of doing it, he gave us minimum information as far as the trickery of it. I mean, the illusion part of the act. So, but of course, we have to know, because nobody levitates, in real life. So there has to be somehow that he does this. Nobody, there's a lot of things that we have to be careful for. So people at home, in those days, betas first came out, and the VHS came out, and people could, frame by frame, could look at these illusions, and they would do it, and they would send him mail, and then people would say, "Hey, I know how he did that." That was the challenge, So the challenge was to do it in such a way that you would never disclose or let anybody know how he did all these illusions. He went to any length. So when he watched it, when we used to do the show and we used to tape it, he would sit for whatever it took, hour, watching it back and forth with his group of guys that he had, watching it to make sure that not a cable, not anything, could show up.